Hello and welcome to this quick IG Manager TV tutorial to go over MultiStore Store Charge Host. In this little tutorial, we're going to assume that you already know how to install IG Manager Single Store, and the jump to MultiStore is actually a very short little leap. So let's just go right through it. First thing to know are the differences between a single store setup and a MultiStore setup. As you may or may not know, we use the same executables for both single and multi-store. They just behave slightly differently in the different environments. In a multi-store setup, each store connects to the host with its own port. To explain that a little better, when you have a single store and you open up Store Charge Host, there's one server running in there watching one port, and the store then connects to that one port. When you're set up for multi-store, we have multiple servers sitting in the host program watching different ports. So in the example you see there, Store 101 is going to connect to port 9991, Store 102 is going to connect to 9992, or whatever you want to set them up to be. A couple other things that we have that are different between multi-store and single store is in a multi-store situation, the stores do not have access to the store charge database. They can't look up customers, they can't change credit limits, they can't do anything. It's just like a credit card. And then the other thing you have to remember if you're going from a single store setup to a multi-store setup is that everyone is going to have the same account database and numbers. That means the First Church of whatever up the street is going to be account number 1 in every single store. You can't have different stores with different account numbers. That's something you may have to deal with before you switch from single to multi-store. How do we determine how many stores you're licensed for? That's in the license of Store Charge. And normally the license has the name of the store. When you have a host, it's going to be the license name, and then the last 3 digits of the license are M number. And that determines how many how many servers we're going to start when you start the host program. So in the example on the screen, the M05 states we're going to have 5 stores will be set up. And the little caveat you have to remember, I'm going to mention this 3 or 4 times in the things, you must configure the system to know what those 5 ports are going to be before you try to start the host. If you put this license in and start the host and have not set up multiple the ports for all 5 of those stores, the program will crash every time you try to start it. There's 2 places to see the statuses of your multi-stores. Inside the host itself, if you go to Host Window, View Control Screen, you'll see a list of all the stores, what port they're watching, and what their status is. From here you can't really change anything, but this gives you the list. The same list is also available in Store Charge itself, and this is where you would actually set it up. There's my license with the demo there. Under Setup, Multi-Store. And you'll see I have 5 stores set up. Each store is connected to its own port, 991, 992, 993, 666, and 9998. Okay. If I add another store, like let's add 106 and put it on 9999, all right, I say okay. If I go to close this, it's going to say, hey, warning, you're licensed for 5 stores, but you've only have 6 defined. Only the first 5 will be activated. So that means when I start up my host, it's only going to start up ports 991, 2, 3, 666, and 998. This last one will not be connected. That store will not be able to connect to the host. All right. And here it is again. You must at least have as many stores defined as in your license. If you have 5 stores and you have 5 stores defined and you have a license of 10, it's going to try to start 10 servers, and those last 10 servers are going to have a port of 0, and that's not something people like. In the Store Charge host, when you bring up the view the status window, you'll see information on what's going on. In this case, you can see I quickly I had my Store 104 connect, and then I also had Heartbeat. So you can see what's going on with all your stores. The other stores on there, 103, the server has been initialized, but the store hasn't connected yet. Some things that you have to consider with setting up multi-store charge hosts that you don't normally have to deal with single store. 1, CC and DD must be able to reach the host's IP address via their network settings, which means you have to have the root added to the configuration of 4690 OS. Or if you're going to use a VPN device, the VPN device needs to have that configured in there. And then once again, each store is going to connect to its own host port on the host. So you're going to have all those open correctly within your network. And third, you really need to have the heartbeat turned on in this situation. If you remember, if you don't have heartbeat turned on, you can have a situation where the host is happy and has the port open. The IBM has the port open and is happy, but somebody in between us has reset. So the minute you try to do a store charge, the ACE system dials out, doesn't get a response, and kills their connection. If you don't have heartbeat turned on, the host never realizes the store's not there, so it keeps that port locked. So if the ACE system tries to connect again, it's going to get rejected because we already have somebody connected. So that's why you need to have heartbeat. Now, heartbeat message is no more than 20 to 30 some characters. So we're not talking about a huge network traffic here. I like 30 seconds. That's just me. But you can go 6 minutes, 60 seconds, 5 minutes, whatever. I just remember, the shorter the time, the quicker you're going to detect that there's been a problem and come back up. Whatever you're going to do is when we define our host heartbeat timeout in store charge, which you would do in a single store, you want your heartbeat timeout to be 3 times whatever your heartbeat interval is. So if your interval is 30 seconds, you want to tell IG Manager, if you don't get a heartbeat within 90 seconds, then there's a problem. That gives you a little bit of leeway for timing and stuff like that. In the setup where you just have the host running and the store's talking to it, you'll get the information you need to, print statements and keep track of balances and stuff like that. That would be called the transaction header information. What you won't have is what they actually purchased in those transactions. If you want to get the transaction detail from the T-logs, you'll need to do like a single store does and read the T-logs from all the stores. Normally, once again, in a single store environment, you just bring the T-logs up and run the program called scan logs, and it reads the T-logs. In this case, we're going to have whole bunches of T-logs from different stores, and we need to read them separately. So you would run scan logs with a couple command line prompts. The first one is force path, which means we're doing something weird. Then you would give the path where you've put the T-logs, and then what store number are you reading. At that point, all you're doing is going to pull back the EAM tran A, B, or C, whichever one exists, dump them into the folder that is for that store, and point scan logs to it and tell it you're reading that store number. Everything else remains the same. You don't have to do this. A lot of single stores don't read their T-logs. It's just something, if you don't read the T-logs and you need to look up something, you're going to need to go to the store and go into the ACE system and look up the transaction that way. You will have all the standard information that you would have in the single store. You'll have the terminal number, the transaction number, the time, the date, the operator. You'll have all that in the system. One of the great things with store charge is we also give you the ability to collect, store, and reprint signatures from the pin pad. Of course, if capable is the caveat there. You can collect all that signature stuff at the host and collect it all there. I don't recommend that. What we recommend is that even though you're using a multi-store setup, you have a store charge copy running at the store locally, and its whole purpose is to read the T-log and pull those signatures out and keep them at the store. We have a special license that locks down everything but signature capture, so that way they don't get confused about playing with store charge. That makes it much easier because 99% of the time the customer calls the store to look up stuff, and it's easier to get it there. It also has a much smaller database, so if they have to search for something, it's much easier, and so it just works out better to have it at the store. But you can do it both ways. That scan logs command can be set up to read the signatures also at the corporate office or host. So that's basically the setup. All you're doing is setting up the store setup is exactly the same as if it was a single store. All right, it's going to talk to a port on a server. At the corporate, you're going to have a license that's going to start multiple servers watching separate ports, and each store will come in and connect to its own server. All the other configurations that we have, whether you're using frequent shopper or preferred shopper number system or whatever, that's all the same. Credit limit, whether it's used or not, is all the same. We have, just a reminder, those who may not know some of this stuff, some basic information. Our account number in store charge is 10 digits, so you can use the phone number if you want to, or you can use a mask and make it a preferred shopper number. One last thing that people forget is if you tender 1 penny to an account, you will be declined every time, and you will get the balance. We do that because there is no way to do a balance inquiry on the store charge tender in the ACE system. So our quick way around that is if you tender 1 penny to it, you'll get the current balance. All right. So once again, don't get excited about whether it's MultiStore. That's MultiStore. It's all different now. It's the exact same setup, only instead of 1 connection, you're going to be having multiple connections from different stores. Thank you.